Welcome back to Talk Nerdy to Me, an entrepreneur's financial guide. Who am I? Michelle Delker, founder and CEO of the William Stanley CFO Group. And today I have with me in the studio, Bryon Kroger, founder and CEO of Rise8.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yes, welcome. It's so good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Yes. Now, you've been out and about all around, so I suspect that our 20 Spotify subscribers know who you are through like the TBBJ Fast 50 or INC 5000, or maybe they've gone to Prodacity, do you think? Possibly?
I don't know if we have any locals there.
Okay. Well, you've been out and about, and I have stalked you. I know quite a bit, including what you wore to our first meeting, that linen suit, right? When we met at this. At the Center Club. But please take a minute to introduce yourself because nobody does it like you.
Yeah, by the way, I just ordered a new linen suit.
What color?
It's like a nice light blue. And I got shorts and drawstring pants.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was a great look. And it was fitting because it was very hot in the Center Club that day. I didn't realize, but we were squatting in a little room there.
Yeah. So I don't know where to start. Maybe I'll start with after college. I joined the military, so it's kind of like my professional defining point, I would say. So I spent 10 years in the Air Force. Started out as a intelligence officer, doing mostly targeting operations. I always tell people I used really terrible software. We think that the military has all the advanced stuff that you see on Jason Bourne.
Yes.
They do not.
Oh my gosh, Matt Damon. Yes.
Yeah. So I thought I was going to be Matt Damon, but when I showed up, couldn't get my email to load. How bad it is. So I spent 7 years doing the most critical missions on the planet using really terrible software. Now, the military does have really good hardware, but not the software to go along with it. And so I had this turning point where I saw a really bad incident happen. I was used to seeing missions fail and people die because of bad software, but this one was egregious. And so I applied for an exchange program to go work on the software that I had been using for the last 7 years. And from there, I launched a digital transformation in the Air Force called Kessel Run.
I remember.
And we were really successful. It was really inspiring, but I felt like there was just a big gap on the industry side of the equation. And so I left the Air Force and started Rise8 to try to fill that gap. And we've been going for 6 years now. We just crossed 150 people, which is a fun milestone.
It's amazing.
Dunbar's number.
Risers. They're risers,
yes. And we help the government do digital transformation, really focused especially on custom military software. So all the things you can't just go buy off the shelf, but then all of the transformation that goes along with it to be able to build, deploy, and utilize that software in better ways. And I'm just really passionate about the GovTech mission. We've expanded beyond just the military. My belief is that if we get disrupted in the government services space, the cost is our democracy. So a lot of people see all the polarization and everything that's happening in our country right now and believe it's personalities and, polarization of people. But I really see it as government is failing to deliver on policy in a digital era, whether that's foreign policy with the military or your Social Security benefits or your unemployment benefits during COVID. If the government promises you things and doesn't deliver on them, that creates radicalization. I think that's what we're seeing. And so I'm really passionate about the entire GovTech space and making sure we get great software.
I have to say, so this is why I love him. I asked one question and he answered almost all 12 that are on my list. So we're going to roll it back because I have some internal intel, right? And I remember once when we met, you were like, I've never talked so much about my family in a business meeting. Of course not, because he is such a professional, but highly specialized, riddled with nuance. First of all, you're the baby of a family, and wasn't your dad a professional wrestler?
Bodybuilder,
yes, okay. Bodybuilder, wrestler, pish posh, it's all the same. Okay.
They both wear underwear.
Well, there you go. And they're shiny. Yes, okay. And then also you're married?
I am married, yes.
Okay. 4 beautiful children?
Yeah, my 16-year wedding anniversary is coming up this month.
When is it?
17th.
Oh my gosh, happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Yes, you both deserve a medal. Long-term relationships are difficult.
They are.
Yes. Ours is on the 23rd. It's a hoot and a
Nice.
holler, yes. So 4 beautiful children ranging in age from
4 to 13.
4 to 13. Fun story. One night, my family and I were at Union eating their delicious cheesecake. Thank you so much, Jeff Gigante. And my husband went into the bathroom, he came out, and he said the craziest thing happened, right? Like I was in there, this little tiny person, like a child, like a 4-year-old, walked in by himself, used the restroom, washed his hands, gargled with mouthwash, and then left. He said it was the craziest thing. I thought I was being punked. Not long later, we bump into Bryon, who's with his entire family. And that boss baby was his baby number 4, his little 4-year-old. What's his name?
Rowan.
Rowan. Come on. I remember telling you that story, and you're like, yeah, that sounds like him. When you're the baby of 4, man, you've really got to fend for yourself.
Right.
Oh, and it was such a great articulation of how you and your wife parent these beautiful children, right? He's far more independent than children like twice his age. It was the most incredible thing to see. And you're a really great family guy. You love your family. I think you might have delivered one of your own babies, right?
Yeah, well, my wife delivered it, but I assisted the delivery.
Oh, okay,
yes.
all right. Well, usually, physicians will assist with the delivery, but good on you for taking care of that. Yeah. And we have a tie to Louisiana and then also to Iowa, right? We're like, I didn't know your husband was from Iowa. I was like, how did you not know? He tells everybody.
Yes. My parents are divorced, but when I moved in with my dad, he was in Iowa. So from 5th grade through high school.
My God.
Cherokee, Iowa.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. I went to college in Indianola, Simpson College, tiny little precious.
They were in our conference. So I went to Cornell College.
So a couple of parallels that we'll uncover throughout, but really invested in family and a very strong sense of wrong and right and loyal. Like if you could be loyal to a fault, right? So grew up in essentially the heartland, the Bible Belt. And what prompted you to join the Air Force? Like, what was it that you wanted to do?
Yeah, I wish I had like a really inspiring story from that. It's just that, the 2008 financial crisis. And there's kind of twofold. One, I had planned to be pre-med all throughout college. I majored in biochemistry and molecular biology.
Thus delivering the baby.
Yeah. And I had this disillusionment with the state of science. In our country, and I would just say internationally, like the state of science internationally right now is not great. I think people mistake or conflate all of the technological advances for advances in knowledge, and I just feel like the way we're practicing science is not good. So I became really disillusioned with the medical community in particular, and decided I didn't want to be a doctor anymore, and I thought I would go get a real job. I graduated a semester early, right into the financial crisis. Mm-hmm. So I didn't know what to do with my life, and I knew a few people that were in the military, so I went and joined the Air Force. Had
you changed majors when you became disillusioned?
No.
Okay.
I actually double majored. Well, that is a double major, biochemistry, molecular biology, and then a philosophy major.
I see.
Because I was padding my med school resume with those humanities,
right? Of course. Yes, we want to be well-rounded, not one-dimensional. I totally get it. And then when you entered the military, how did you find your way into technology?
Well, as I said, I started in intelligence. So I applied they give you, like, what are your top 3 career fields? I can't remember what all of them were, but one of them was scientist, engineer, and there was one other one. And they put me in Intel somehow. Okay. No idea why. But I did 7 years of intelligence. It was really interesting. Glad I did it. Learned a lot in the military about leadership and a different level of work ethic than I think in the Midwest you grow up with work ethic, but it's very different when like people's lives are on the line. Yeah. And so it was really good for me, but no idea. We could talk about government personnel management, which is one of the fundamental problems that we face in that mission that I described earlier, but that's where I ended up. And I stayed there for 7 years, so worked out.
The hard work in Iowa is like detasseling the corn over the summer, right? So it's a little bit lower stakes.
Yeah, picking rocks.
Yes. So I didn't realize, forgive me, I'm woefully deficient in this area, but in Intel, because I think you're a practitioner as well, you can do all the things within your organization. And when you launched your company, it was essentially you doing all of the things. So when you were in that role, you learned how to develop software? Like you were actually behind the scenes putting those pieces and parts together?
No. So in intelligence, I was doing intelligence analysis and targeting operations, so like planning military strikes. Using software.
Okay.
as I became really frustrated with software, I did start studying on my own.
Yes.
I want to be very clear. I have the programming skills of I'm like at a 5th grade programming level.
Fantastic.
Not great. But I did a little bit of stuff on the side to try to solve my own problems.
Okay.
Like I was conducting strikes on moving targets where like when I showed up to the job, I had a spreadsheet and a stopwatch and a downloaded copy of Google Earth with some satellite imagery on it. Right. So
high tech.
Yeah, very high tech. So, it started out with like coding my own macros in that spreadsheet and advanced to building like my own automation that I could use. But yeah, I would say more than anything, I read this book that was foundational to me. It's called The Phoenix Project. Mm-hmm. And fun fact, my first logo was actually a phoenix in the shape of an 8. But it's a DevOps transformation story, really good one. And I was like, this is what we need. We don't just need better software. We have to fundamentally transform the way that we do software. And that's what led me into software program management.
You wanted to fix the problem yourself. You weren't waiting on anyone else to come save it, right? Nobody's coming. Let me figure it out. And then you were able to move into something that was really monumental, which was Kessel Run. Mm-hmm. Okay. And that was still very young, because if you went in right after college, right, early 20s, 7 years, what are we, like 27, 28?
Yeah, 29.
29. Okay. All right. And then talk through that part of it, like doing Kessel Run and then leaving and launching Rise8.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of bureaucracy in federal procurement. So first of all, we don't build software in the military largely. We procure it from industry. And that was one of the changes I thought we needed to make. I believe that every industry, so this applies to any listeners, you should only build above the value line. Mm-hmm. But you should always build above the value line. And so a lot of people make the mistake, and I see this in the government in particular, where they will build their own finance ERP, something you can go buy off the shelf.
Yes.
And then they'll go buy commercial off-the-shelf software for targeting. There's no such thing as commercial software for targeting.
Right.
They built it just for you.
Yes.
And they're holding you hostage. There's no economy of scale there. And so we focused heavily on buying everything in the tech stack that we didn't think was a differentiator. Like cloud, we shouldn't build our own clouds. Nobody in this day and age would say like, oh yeah, you should go build your own cloud. But there are many layers of the tech stack above that where people will go build things they can just buy. And so we abstracted all of that away and just said, we're going to focus on the mission applications that do air command and control and targeting. Mm-hmm. And that's what we built. And we were really successful. Typically it takes, like the average is 5 years. There's a crazy stat when I was starting Kessel Run from the U.S. Digital Service, which is now the DOGE service, that 94% of federal IT projects are over schedule or over budget. 40% never actually deliver and get canceled. That's your tax dollars at work. And these aren't like R&D programs, which you would expect to have high failure rates. These are like core mission programs, and they're failing at a rate of 40%, and almost all of them are over schedule and over budget. So we were able to come in the first 120 days and build and deploy the entire cloud platform plus the first application to a secret environment, which has very high compliance requirements and security requirements. And then from there, just app after app after app. By the time that I left, we were up to a 500-person developer organization. We had 22 applications that we were continuously shipping to production out to the field. So it's like we talk to a user on Monday. By Friday, we've built the thing. And next week, they have it in their hands.
Lightning fast.
Yeah.
Unheard of. And not just in that particular space, likely in any, whether civilian or military. And so you were showing that it can be done, which I think is phenomenal, right? Because a lot of times you have folks that say it can't be, whatever it is. Oh, no, we can't do that. I'm like, yes, you can, right? And then you have to show folks how that is done. And so that's what you did. How long were you on Kessel Run?
Just about 3 years.
Okay. And then you launched Rise8 right after that? Mm-hmm. Okay. So talk about that transition.
Yeah, that was tough. I'd been in the military for 10 years. My father passed away in 2020, right as I was getting ready to get out and launch the company. And, it was obviously it was a terrible time for me, but he left a little bit of money. But at this point, I was broke. Mm-hmm. Like raising 4 kids on a military salary. We had some personal things that had happened. Like I was down to nothing. And my dad left me basically ended up being about $4,000. It was enough to buy a laptop.
Okay.
And I used my 2 months of terminal leave in the military. It was like a burn the boat situation. If I didn't have something lined up by the end of that, I was done.
I love the burn the ships situation because that's the moment. It's happening. You're moving forward. It doesn't matter what you're leaving behind. You're looking ahead, and that is it. And it takes, I think, truly a tremendous amount of courage and even if you're scared, belief in yourself to do that. When you're talking about leaving something that is kind of a sure thing, right? And then betting on yourself. Usually there's not a group of people cheering you on as you're doing it. You're cheering yourself on until you've got some big wins. And then wouldn't you know it, there's a crowd all around. Everybody wants to shake your hand, right? And your wife was a huge part of you being able to do that. Without her support, you wouldn't have been able to move forward in that capacity.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. We had 3 babies at the time. She would stay at home with them, but it was chaotic. I'll tell you that when that 2 months ran up, I had my first contract, but it was out in Seattle. And I had been commuting back and forth, but the customer didn't want to pay the travel costs anymore. You need to come stay in Seattle. And so we went and lived in a hotel with 3 kids and a dog in Seattle for what ended up being a little over 2 months.
Lindsay, right?
Yeah.
Lindsay's a ride or die, as it were. She was there when there was nothing, and she'll be there when there's a boat.
Yeah, for sure.
So you did it. You did all the things. And when you started this business, what was your goal initially? Because I think today you're touching so many different things. I don't know if when you started, if the vision was that big or if you've had to distill it down.
Yeah. So during my time at Kessel Run, one thing I noticed is that a lot of folks in the innovation space or digital transformation space, especially the consultants on the other side,
I love it. Yes.
They all talk, but they don't deliver. And one thing I noticed that gets tricky is they'll deliver a lot of software, but the question is, what do people do with the software you give them? Right. That would be an outcome, a change in human behavior. Josh Seiden has this thing, outcomes over outputs,
yes.
And he defines an outcome as a change in human behavior. So you give them an output, piece of software, new feature, leads to a change in human behavior and outcome. But then even more than that, we have to track, did that change in user behavior result in business impact? Mm-hmm. What results did it generate for the bottom line? Or in the case of the government, there's no bottom line, or maybe it's the biggest bottom line of all, which is we have a mission to carry out. Mm-hmm. And when we don't do that well, people die, mm-hmm. missions fail, our democracy, our foreign policy abroad, these are huge consequences. And so, I started talking a lot about impact back then, and I was really frustrated that in this space of all tech consulting, but especially in GovTech where there is no P&L, so many people were getting away with output-oriented delivery,
right.
And people labeling that as value, and just what I call innovation theater. And so my goal was to figure out how can you deliver impact, mission impact, and get an entire company or a group of people organized around putting outcomes into production to produce impact. And a lot of people said you can't do it in the space, especially on the contractor side. They're like, oh, when you were in government, you were in control, you could make these decisions, right. You set the tone. But on the other side, you're subject to the buyer, right? Government writes really stringent contracts. You'll never be able to do this. The pricing pressures are crazy. You're going to have to hire way less talent than you think you can because the prices are so low. And so I just wanted to prove everybody wrong that you can deliver outcomes and impact in GovTech without sacrificing. And I had this longer term thing. I don't know if we've talked about this, but really from the beginning, I wanted to start a holding company.
Yes.
I just didn't feel ready to start that when I was leaving. Right. I felt like I had a lot to learn as an operator first. But I also want to prove, it really frustrates me to see where capital goes in this country. Mm-hmm. All of our capital, I just finished reading Alex Karp's book, the Palantir founder. Mm-hmm. Technological Republic. And he does a really good job of distilling something that I've observed for a long time. I'll tell you a story about it, but I have all of the capital in this country goes to things that not only don't benefit humanity, but I would say are driving it in bad places. Mm-hmm. We talk about social media, most of the apps and things that you get on your phone. And the reason is that's where all the returns are.
Right.
And so I have this thesis that you can do good in the world and produce good ROI. And also that the thing that really changes the world is not products, but services. Like
Yes,
humans,
of course.
people interacting
Right.
one-to-one. And so I want to take a software services model and do good in the world, but also prove that you don't have to sacrifice ROI to do good in the world. And then for me, the thing I care about, like I don't have to sacrifice doing good in the world for capital.
Right.
And so that's what we're going to be building. We're actually going to be launching next quarter.
Of course you are. Right. So if I've gotten it right then, and tell me if I haven't, to me, it sounds like it's a full-bodied experience. You're not putting a foot through the door or like dipping a toe in. You really have to step in and understand what the user's needs are. And your goal has to be satisfying whatever problem it is that's outstanding, right? So when we're talking about checking the box, like, oh, we developed all of these things and it was this amount, and look at how profitable we are. And then the client isn't actually using it. It's in a closet somewhere, do you know? And they've reverted to pencil and paper in certain cases. But you really want to break that barrier, have them use it, and have it fulfill whatever their needs are. So there has to be a special model associated with that. Are you doing like a 6-hour kickoff in a pink office and then having sushi for lunch? Like how do you get to know your client to where you're actually able to build and deliver something for them that is going to truly fit their needs?
Yeah. I don't know who would do kickoffs in pink offices and go out to sushi, but it was great.
He looked at my associate and he said, I wasn't in the room at the time. He's like, why is everything pink? And when she said that to me, I was like, is it pink? I hadn't even noticed.
That's great. Yeah. We do have a process for this. I think when you look at B2B, it's very different than D2C. And so I feel like a lot of the models and the things that you hear about with all the social media influencers on marketing and sales and lead gen and all that stuff is all very D2C focused, even when they think they're talking about B2B. In B2B, there's a problem that I want to expose here, which is you said the users love it, which has to be true. Yes. But there's also this other thing that like it has to make sense to the business. So I could come into a large business and provide software that everybody loves. But the CFO doesn't care. I mean, he should care about the employee experience, but at the end of the day, it's like he has this overlapping Venn diagram of things employees love and things that generate margin.
And what's needed.
Yeah, and so your goal is to find the intersection, right? You can't provide a great user experience at the expense of whatever your target margins are. But similarly, you can't go all in on margins and create a terrible employee experience. Right. So there's a Venn diagram there, and finding that overlap is really important. And so there's two things you have to do. One, you really have to come into a business and map out their value stream. Or in the case of the government, I go into Space Force, SATCOM organization. I'm going to map out their entire value stream at a business level, not a software level, and understand who talks to who, when, what do they send, what are the artifacts they produce, how do those get into the hands of the people that control the satellites, what are the artifacts from that, who do they go to, what's upstream, what's downstream. You have to understand all of that the same way you would a factory. Yes. And you also need to map out not only what's happening, but the time spent in work status, time spent in queue status, and that's where you uncover where software can provide value. Because I could go in there and talk to a bunch of end users, and I find 5 people that are really excited to talk to me, right, and then like build me this thing that nobody's ever been willing to build. And I build it, and they're excited, and they tell their people, and maybe I get a contract renewal because everybody's so excited. But more than likely, I've just locally optimized for those users, and I haven't done anything for the larger mission. And so finding that overlap, you have to start with what is the value stream. That applies to GovTech. It applies to every industry. And then you go start talking to users and go deep on how do I make this really efficient at the same time that I make it a really good user experience.
It's facilitating, it sounds like, systemic change, right? And it can feel incredibly overwhelming, especially if you're telling me this isn't like a standard practice that everyone is deploying, and it's something that has to be personalized for each client. But I imagine there's a blueprint, obviously, right? There's a way that things typically flow, And then you spend time during diligence getting to know that client on a deeper level and crafting that plan. And you're so well-versed in military, so well-versed like in that space. But you also work with civilian organizations, right? So what has that been like?
Yeah, it's largely the same. There aren't that many.
You heard it here, people. It's largely the same.
Yeah. I mean, some of the things are exacerbated, right? I mean, an interesting thing in government is getting your budget approved is literally an act of Congress.
Yes.
So a little bit more bureaucracy.
Exactly. So not basically the same.
Yeah, no,
in some cases, yes.
Yeah.
Philosophically, but in reality, there are tweaks that you have to make to execute slightly differently.
Yeah, I think so. But, there's pros and cons that come with that, actually, is that when you walk into a lot of large enterprises, they also have a ton of built-up bureaucracy.
Yes.
But the goalposts move. So, yeah, maybe the bureaucracy is not as big. I don't have to go talk to a member of Congress or find the professional staff members who can influence the people on the HASC and the SASC. But when I go into a large commercial enterprise, everything's a moving goalpost. Nothing's actually written down. There's nothing. So, when I go into the military, what we talk about bureaucracy hacking a lot.
Yes.
Like, you can't hack a system you don't understand. And the nice thing about most government systems is they're very well defined. You might not like them, but they are very well defined. There's a letter of the law. And usually when I go in there, all the things people say that I can't do or can't be done, I will look and the policy will literally say, you should use modular contracting to the maximum extent practical. You just told me I can't do modular contracting, but it says here, not only can I, but I should do it to the maximum extent practical.
So you polish off your monocle and you look at it again to make sure you didn't misread.
Yeah. So really well-defined systems, even when they're poorly functioning, are easier to hack than when you go into maybe a much smaller organization where it's not well-defined. So I can't hack a system I don't understand, and there's no way for me to understand your system. It's chaos.
It's interesting. So you're using their book to support what you want to do anyway. It's just not being done.
Yeah. Yeah. One of my good friends, he's like a acquisition nerd. His name's Dan Ward. He's written some really good books that also apply well outside of our industry. But he says that ignorance of the federal acquisition regulation is a greater barrier to innovation than the regulation itself. And I think that universally applies to everything. Ignorance of the thing is usually a bigger barrier than the thing itself.
It makes total sense because then it's built up to be so much more than what it actually is.
Find it all the time.
Yes. So not very different, you say. Okay.
Yeah. Whenever we go into commercial, it's different problems. Some of them are harder. Some of them are easier. But they all follow the same pattern. And it's just pattern recognition.
It's interesting because sometimes people think that when you are that larger organization, things are so well defined and everything is beautiful and perfect. And theoretically, usually those places are great places to learn and then to take that knowledge and put your own twist or accent on it and do something that really is game changing. I find a lot of times there's just so much tape that gets in the way. You want to go to that meeting? Well, you don't have an invitation, so you're not invited, right? And it's like, oh, other organizations, you're walking down the hall, come on in, right? Like, tell us what you know about this. So the environment really being conducive to, ready to receive that type of, I don't know, like talent and support.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this problem is also not as hard to overcome as sometimes it's made out to be. I think the problem is people try to have a debate about it. Or even just a conversation. We don't have to call it a debate. When they should be going and just doing the thing. Yeah. And so most of the time when we go into a large organization, there's this great This American Life episode about Numi, which was a joint venture between Toyota and GM. So Toyota wanted to enter the American market. They wanted to do a joint venture with GM. GM graciously gave them their worst performing plant in the United States, the Fremont Assembly. It had recently been shut. It was shut down. It was so bad here, people were drinking and gambling on the job.
Well, that was very generous of them to share that.
And they were sabotaging vehicles. So like they were finding things where people would like drink a Coke and put it in the door and then seal up the door so you would buy the car and it would rattle. So awful culture, right? And when they partnered with Toyota, GM said, we'll help you take on the union so that you can get new leadership and new employees. employees, and Toyota said that wouldn't be necessary. They took the leadership out to the Toyota production system in Japan and just had them come work with them for several months. And when those people came back to the Fremont assembly, within a couple months, it became the highest performing manufacturing plant in the United States. And its performance was never matched until its doors were shut in the '08 auto crisis. And so when you look at the model, like the very American way to approach this problem is like, I'm going to go tell you what values, attitudes, and beliefs you should have. I'm going to tell you the right culture. And then that's going to change your actions and that's going to change the outcomes. Whereas Toyota took a very much like, come and work with us in a different way. Yeah. When you see the results of working in a different way, that will change your values and attitudes. That will change the culture. And so completely transformed what you would say is the most horrible culture you could ever see as an employer. People are drinking and gambling on the job and sabotaging your vehicles. 3 months later, highest performing plant in the United States.
It's amazing. And I think, so, I mean, picking up some of the things that you're saying, right? It really is mind, body, and spirit. And there was a higher purpose in why you wanted to launch this business. And I think that's even reflected in the name, isn't it? Like the name is Rise8, but most people probably don't know like what leads up to that. Do you want to tell them?
Yeah. It's a Japanese proverb. One of my favorite books is Grit by Angela Duckworth. So I stole this from her. I've known the proverb for a while, but it's fall 7 times, stand up 8 is the proverb. And it's a story of transformation. There's debates on it. My take, the one that I go with is, first of all, you can't, if you fall 7, you would stand up 7 times. So some people say, oh, you start out crawling or whatever. But what I like to take it as is you stand up greater than when you fell.
Of course.
So it's about personal transformation. But credit to her, it was the first time I had ever seen it. She said, if I ever got a tattoo in honor of that proverb, I would say fall 7, rise 8. And so I took the name from there.
And you did, yes. Yeah. And a lot of people don't know that story, but it's just so meaningful and I think really speaks to how you've been running the business since you launched it. One of the things we like to do on here is highlight like a super nerdy finance topic and then show the gold standard partner because there are so many options in the world today. Sometimes people don't know what right looks like. I know that sounds crazy, but especially when it's something that they don't understand well or they're intimidated by. And when that happens, it's easy to choose the wrong partner, right? It happens all the time. And you are the right partner. Your outcomes, your results, they are unequivocal and undeniable, like irrefutable. And you've gotten there by being very firm in your beliefs and in some cases rigid, right? I'm not going to do it that way. This is how I'm going to do it. So I wanted you to come on so people could see and hear, this is what it looks like. This is what it sounds like. But I want to talk a little bit more about you in just a minute. But if someone is out there shopping, not all shops are the same. What are some things they should look for in a partner that's really going to deliver? And what are some things to watch out for? If you see this, we're not scheduling another meeting.
Yeah. If they're looking for somebody that provides like what we provide,
exactly,
digital services. A couple things. I talked about one earlier.
Yep.
They should never build below the value line. That requires you knowing where your value line is, but what that means is what differentiates you. Yep. So a CRM does not differentiate you. You cannot build a custom CRM. I think that there's a lot of money in that. So if you're in the services space, most of the way people's P&L is built, it's built around headcount. Mm-hmm. And you can get a ton of headcount by building custom things that are already commercially available. Yes. And so that's the number one thing to look out for. And then more importantly, though, is this conversation around outcomes and impact. They should be more than willing to sign up for a business goal that you have. And I've seen people do this different ways. Like, maybe if you're looking for a partner in social media services, is like you get paid based on the performance, not based on your outputs. And most of the folks in my space charge time and materials. And to me, that's just a sign. Now, I want to be careful because sometimes when you're in the early stages of things and things aren't well defined,
sure,
agile software development is to the point of not being able to define an end state. Like, we're going to find it together.
Sure.
So I'm going to go build some things. We're going to test them. We're going to see if they work. I can't sign up for a firm fixed price outcome from that.
Right.
So if you're in the very early genesis of building some custom software, time and materials might be appropriate. But generally, if you're taking on something for your business that's well-defined, you should be able to assign an outcome to that. And somebody like me should come in and price to that outcome, not give you, that's going to take me 5 people and those 5 people cost X.
100%, right? If someone's going to clean the house, it's not paying by the hour, it's paying by how big and how dirty that house is. Right. And so paying by the hour, paying that T&M, that doesn't incentivize the partner to work efficiently, right? And the goal with that fixed firm price, move as efficiently as you can. Mm-hmm. And then you do bolster margin in certain scenarios, right? And that would be the goal while also properly servicing the client.
Right.
So it's thoughtfully contemplated in how you price your engagements.
Yeah. Yeah. And I will say a lot of buyers are uncomfortable with that. So the government in particular is very uncomfortable with firm fixed price because they want to know how much it costs because they don't want to get ripped off by some excess margin. But when you go buy a watch, you have no idea how much it costs the watchmaker to make the watch. You don't know what their margins are. Every day we buy things that we have no regard for how much it costs to make it. It's just how valuable is it to us?
It's an interesting thing, and it's something that I actually feel quite strongly about myself. So we won't price engagements by the hour, right? We'll scope the project, and then we will make an offer based off of the work that needs to be done. Whether it winds up taking 50 hours or 500 hours, we know what it is, and we're going to get it done. We're going to figure it out with a favorable outcome. And it's hard for me to say, I'm going to be your strategic partner if we're not doing it that way. Right. I have no skin in the game, right? But the other way, all the skin in the game, and also that facilitates for me a deeper relationship. I get the phone call from my client who's at the car dealership on a Monday night at 7:00. Hey, and we pop on down, right? What do you do with the T&M with that? It's just, I think it goes back to really wanting to do something that's valuable and that's meaningful and finding the people that appreciate that, right? Because not everybody is going to have that same value system.
Right.
So you don't try to get every job. There are some jobs that aren't the right fit.
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes is that most businesses don't die of starvation, they die of indigestion. Bad customers.
Not enough vegetables, right? 100%, yes. I completely understand. I love that. I think it's a sign of the changing times that we understand that we do also get to choose who we work with, which is really great. It used to be all business was good business.
Right.
It's not anymore. Okay, so back to you as an entrepreneur then. You said 150 risers, and you put on this really awesome annual conference, right? Prodacity. Okay. These things don't sound cheap. These sound like investments that you're making in the business, in the people, in all of it. So what is your philosophy when it comes to the people? Because when you're making that investment, the equity that you're looking at in the business is going to look a little bit different.
Yeah. Well, maybe first philosophy thing that's I recently brought on Jeff Mueller as my COO.
He's amazing. Oh my, he's like a legend.
Yeah.
Yes.
I say recently, it's been a little bit over a year now.
But time flies, right?
This makes him really uncomfortable. He's like, I've never worked with a CEO like this. We have our target margin, and if we go above it, I spend it.
Yeah.
So Jeff's always like, how can we save money, get more margin? I'm like, I don't want more margin.
Right.
I want to invest. If we have extra money, we're going to invest it in a customer or in an employee. And we do both. So Prodacity, big event that we put on, it's really education for our customers. And I lose a lot of money on it. And I don't say lose, it's not a loss leader either. So there's no, we do probably get some business from it. I don't track that, so I don't know. Because I don't want that to become the goal.
Right, or the goal, focus.
Yeah, the goal is to provide an education event for our customers. And people in the government space, unfortunately, they don't have a lot of those opportunities. Yep. The government does not invest in its employees very well when it comes to education and training. And then most of the people that are creating events are trying to sell them something. And so it's a sales event, whatever it is. Even if there's good speakers that might educate you, it's a sales event. And ours is just education. And so that's been really fun.
Yeah. Yes, it's amazing. It's not just that, right? It's also investing in the team and the education. Like there's beach time. There are internal expectations for betterment with the growth and development. And you also, I think, provide them a bit of a financial education. I think you're pretty transparent when it comes to overall company performance and how different activities can move the needle up or down.
Yeah. I talk to my customers a lot about pricing.
Yeah.
And not pricing just from our point of view, but like, hey, when I was in government, I wish I knew this. And yeah, I'm probably too transparent, but I think it's okay.
I don't think you can be. I think especially with the team members as well, a lot of times, this has been my experience, folks think that the founder is really sitting like on the top of a yacht, that the company is just rolling in money, because many times they're only seeing the revenue number. They're not seeing what it actually takes to keep the machine going. And so if we're not sharing certain information with the folks, there can be this misconception. When you're making a huge investment in the team, I think it's really important that the team knows, we're making this investment here as opposed to potentially taking a distribution or doing something differently, because this is our greatest asset. This is where we want to spend our money. And I think that that's something that you lead with, right? I saw a post. Guys, if you don't follow him on the LinkedIn, you really should. I saw a post and it like made my heart sing. It really, it was a summarization of your story, how you started the business. And another post, it was, oh yeah, well, they can do that because they pay their, I don't know, like it was something about someone underpaying essentially, and really a level of pride associated with how you're able to pay your team, how you're able to pay those risers. And it's a conscious choice that you make. And you're not charging the clients more, right? That's not where it is. We're still sitting where we should be from a pricing model perspective. Somehow you're able to make all of those numbers work.
Yeah. Yeah, we have very lean operations. Been a huge focus for me because I want any money on top of direct labor to be either focused on fringe, so benefits for said direct labor, or value adds to the customer. And so especially in GovTech, I mean, you see this in every industry, but in GovTech, most of the overhead or indirect costs are sales and marketing. We spend so little. It would blow people's minds how little we spend on sales and marketing. I just let the product or the service and the word of mouth drive all of that. Hopefully that keeps working for us. And then, we reinvest in our employees. Like our fringe is off the charts. You've seen it. It's the highest fringe rate I know of in the industry by almost a factor of 2. I've talked to all my peers about what they're doing and what their benefits look like. Our compensation is already higher. The story I mentioned was we saw somebody win a large government contract.
Yes.
And I was like, man, that price is really low. Like I know I'm used to seeing low prices, but it was shockingly low. And the government was requiring, it was a T&M contract, and they were requiring like senior designer, senior software engineer. And I just went and looked on their website, and they happened to have already posted the job opening for a senior designer. And it was less than we pay our intern designers.
Yes.
And we pay our senior design, it was like 85 or 90,000, I forget. And we pay our senior designers 180. So almost double that salary.
Gosh, I wonder why you don't have to spend a lot on sales and marketing.
Yeah.
Maybe you're delivering such a superior product and service that folks are telling all of their friends.
Yeah, well, I'd be lying if I didn't say there is a lot of customer resistance to our pricing. Happens all the time. And so people, why do you charge so much? It's like, that's what my customers are willing to pay.
So I've seen the resistance to pricing across the board, industry agnostic, everything from like a $500 tax return to an MSP monthly fee. It seems like it's a topic of conversation no matter how high or how low it is.
Right.
So you're not alone. You're in good company.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me. To me, it's going back to the indigestion thing. It's like great self-selection for a customer that would have caused indigestion.
I think it's fantastic. And we're talking about numbers, which makes me really excited. This is the talk nerdy
to me.
Yes, this is the talk nerdy to me part. So you're very good. I love it when people are like, I'm good with computers. I'm good with the numbers. You really are very good with the numbers. You've read all the books. You've done a lot of work. You are very well versed. Have you ever run into like a riddle that you couldn't solve? Do you know anything that you were shocked or surprised by and you needed help with, or you've been able to navigate? Because you're high growth, and high growth, right? Like you've grown significantly year over year over year. Usually there's a standard set of challenges that folks will run into, but you seem to have weathered very well.
Yeah. So 3 years ago, I set a cap on growth at 50%. So we grow 50% year over year. We have way more pipeline than that. So it also allows me to turn away customers that we don't think are a good fit and only select the best fit. But before that, it was like doubling and tripling. So when you came to work with us, things had gotten away from me, actually.
We worked together. Oh, we did. Yes.
So yeah, it wasn't necessarily a riddle that I couldn't solve, but the scaling pace, just like I couldn't manage the books myself anymore. I brought in somebody to do it. They weren't equipped to do it, but it took me way too long to realize that. By that time, way behind. Luckily, it didn't lead to financial ruin. It led to a lot of me like pulling out my hair and not knowing like what's our cash flow forecast look like, how many people can I hire? Because the biggest constraint, which I knew but experienced in a very real way, is when you're growing by 300, 400, 500% in a services business, the lag between hire date and first realized revenue from that for us was like on average a little over 100 days. Yes. Because we would bring people on before the project start to onboard them, a month worth of project, and then a 60-day net 60 terms. So not good. And we fixed that cash conversion cycle quite a bit. I got some like interesting strategies we've deployed to do that because it's hard in government.
Yes. Y'all, he said cash conversion cycle. So days sales outstanding, right?
Yeah.
Days inventory outstanding, all of the things. Yeah. How much cash are you floating?
Yeah. So it was hard at that time to know. And the problem I brought you in was like, this person wants to sign a new contract with me. And like, I know I've got money, I'm profitable, but I have no idea if I could make payroll if I hire 10 people to staff that project because I got to wait 90 days to realize the revenue. Like we couldn't do it. So that was more the like discipline getting away from us. But in general, this sounds like arrogant, but like I haven't come across a problem I can't solve. It's always the disciplined execution and data that becomes difficult. So there was another period where after that actually where the data got away from us again in a different way, which was tracking like rate pools, which is a big thing for government compliance. And so I had to go back and do a lot of correcting there too. That's the main thing, is just staying on top of it. Once it gets away from you, it's ugly.
Well, I mean, there are some things in there, right? Like best laid plans. So number one, the space in which you operate, there's a lot of nuance and regulation about how things have to be accounted for. And sometimes software can help or hurt us. So depending on what we have there, right? Like talking about labor pools, bifurcating, segmentation, all of that, critically important. And the other thing I love that you said, because you're right on the money, right? Like I'm on the edge of chaos and I'm losing sleep. Like what is happening here? And what you described is the realist situation. And it happens every single day to incredible business owners. They're growing so rapidly that float gets away. And even if the days of float are the same number of days, when you've tripled or quadrupled in size, the days being the same, you're still going from floating $1 million to $4.5 million to $5 million. And most people don't just have that cash stacked. When you're high growth, you're investing in the growth of the business. So, I mean, we had on a treasury partner last season to really talk about some of the nuance associated with that and how important finding the right treasury partner is. Because once you understand your needs, understand that cycle, and you have a partner that believes in what you're doing, they'll underwrite you for whatever it is that you need to ensure that your line of credit or that particular piece isn't something that ever becomes a disruption to operations. We don't want you to not be able to move forward and solve a problem for someone else that's critical because we've got, however many $180,000 employees that we're ramping up and they're not yet generating revenue that's being paid. So, I mean, a good banking partner, and you found a good banking partner.
We did.
Yes.
Funny enough, though, I have this aversion. This is a personal problem. It's probably getting in the way of business growth sometimes, but I hate debt. Yeah. So since we came in, so in the early days before I capped the growth at 50%, I had to do factoring on accounts receivable. It was the only way. But once I got out of that, rather than having to dip into my line, I just went the first 5 years of the business without ever taking a single distribution. And we were profitable the entire time, healthy margins, but my profits were always being undistributed and being used to float forward cash.
So he was very skinny, but we were still feeding the babies, right? The babies were always fed. We just didn't buy the boat.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that discipline is important. I don't know, a lot of people, especially when you are doing really well like we were, there is this, it's attractive. It's like hard to say no, you know, and then you got your wife is like, you're working 120 hour, you know, like it's crazy, you know, work that I was putting in, and you're still making the same we were making. Like for a long time, I took a really small salary too. You just don't have the discipline not to take it. It pays off in the long run. But it takes time.
It does. And I really appreciate you saying that. What is it? Like building the war chest, essentially, on the balance sheet. Not sexy to anyone. No one is excited about that. When you say capping the growth, that's mind-blowing. What do you mean why not 100%? It's like, calm down, right? There's a greater plan here. You need that to have options. And I've had the good fortune over the last several years of working with a number of businesses in the market that have been around for decades, and they use the same methodology. They're great financial stewards of the business. They make sure that the balance sheet is in great working order and that they do have what they need to be able to move forward and grow successfully. They're not frivolously doing the things, and they continue to invest in the people. Over and over and over, these businesses, we see the same things. And then flip side, right? The ones that find themselves in hot water sometimes, we see similar hallmarks there as well. Not as positive.
All right.
Yeah. Well, thank you for talking through that. So we haven't talked about AI. I've had so many people come to me and say, aren't you worried about AI? It's going to totally replace you and what you do. And I'm like, it is? Have you heard that too?
Oh, all the time. What's interesting, we get kind of both sides of it because there's also a lot of skepticism, especially in the government market.
Of course, yes.
So I get the two extremes. I'm always the mean between extremes. That's the Aristotle in me.
I love it.
Thanks for that.
Yes, that's hysterical. You should be laughing right now. Yes. Okay, perfect.
That was me talking nerdy to you.
Yes. Oh, that's perfect.
So, yeah, here's my belief is that, yes, AI is going to fundamentally disrupt every single profession. And it's going to happen sooner than most of the skeptics think, but not as fast as everybody else is saying. I think the thing that folks need to start investing in right now is building prompting skills. And like even for you, for me, because I'm out of the game now too, right? And so I'm forcing myself. In fact, this weekend, my kids are out of town, and like I'm just going to spend 2 full days on this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, vibe coding.
That sounds delicious, right?
But you have to be willing to go suck at something new. And where this is most interesting, so I'm seeing huge AI adoption in professionals, but I'm seeing the most resistance from software people.
Of course.
And it's because when they try to generate code with software or with AI, it's not as good as the code that they can generate.
Right.
And they think it's because the AI is not generating good code, but the truth is it's because they suck at prompting the AI. And so if they would invest in the skills to prompt the AI, they would see that they get better code faster and cheaper. And I believe that's possible today. Like if you just develop minimal AI skills as a software developer, you'll immediately see 10 to up to 30% productivity gains. And I think that number is only going to continue to increase. So it's like the craziest Red Queen effect that you've ever seen. And you're going to have to go at a flat out sprint just to keep up. And so it's a little bit easier for professionals because I think the AI is already generating, like it can generate better writing than me.
Yes.
And I don't have great prompting skills. So I can only imagine if I develop really good prompting skills, how well it would write for me. Mm-hmm. The software side is where it's a little different. And I think the software industry in particular is going to face the hardest disruption because software developers are so resistant to it.
It's interesting because I think there's so much benefit that can be garnered from leveraging things appropriately. But I think some things won't be completely eradicated, right? It's going to be a marriage between the technology and then still the human touch in certain areas. But the prompting is key. Sometimes without the right prompts, the feedback that comes back, and you can tell when someone hasn't been diligent or really responsible with what they're doing. It's like, yeah, you might have to read that like in a deposition, right? Like, no, that never should have come out. So there's still right now so much discernment that needs to be applied to some of the outputs.
Yeah. So we talk about the non-determinism problem of AI, right? So it like hallucinates or produces.
Yes.
Humans are also non-deterministic. So it's funny that we keep saying this, but if I tell 5 people to go code something, they will code it 5 different ways with 5 different outputs, 5 different levels of effectiveness and efficiency. And so the way we've solved that in the software industry is through practices like paired programming. Now I have 2 people working on the same thing. That reduces variability because 2 minds have to understand that line of code, not just you. We do test-driven development where we write the test first and then write the software to pass the test. Well, both of those things I could apply to AI.
Yes.
I'll use the second one as an example. Before I have the AI generate a thing, I'll have it generate the test to make sure that the thing it generates is correct.
Yes.
And there's just little things, and that would be a prompting skill that most people don't have. Another thing that you can do, which is kind of like pairing, is everybody prompts the AI, but ask the AI to prompt you.
Yes.
Like, hey, I want you to do this task. Ask me all the questions you need to ask me to do that task properly.
I mean, the takeaway for me is you have to do work still, right? Mm-hmm. And of course, yes, we all have our own unique perspectives and experiences that have shaped us to do things a certain way. You have to have more than one set of eyes. Otherwise, you can be so one-dimensional. So work with it, not against it, and don't have it try to replace who you are either.
Right. Yeah. And when you see bad outputs, assume that it's because you're not good at using the AI, not because the AI is not good.
Don't be mean to ChatGPT. So many people have been mean. Yes, the machines are going to rise up. I can feel it.
Yeah.
So this has been great. Is there anything that you wanted to mention that we haven't covered?
I don't think so. Is there a story I haven't told that you think I should?
So we covered the white linen suit. Even though he's significantly younger than me, somehow we both had the exact same first car. How did you wind up with a 1987 Pontiac Fiero?
Yeah. My dad was obsessed with Fieros. He had 3 at one point.
Of course he did. Yes, of course. A bodybuilder and a Fiero. Yeah, it makes total sense.
I took the 87 because I was born in 87.
Stop. Oh my God. He was born in I was born in 79. So it's all the same. Close enough. Yeah. I think you've done a beautiful job, really, of sharing your story, and I'm so grateful for you coming in and doing that. Now, I know that you're very discerning with your business, but if someone wanted to work with you, how would they go about contacting you?
You can reach out. Most of my inbound actually comes through LinkedIn. So follow me on LinkedIn, and if you think anything's interesting, reach out. And I'm also happy to just help folks that aren't in our vertical just better understand the space. So I love networking, especially with people locally here in Tampa, and just having conversations. They don't have to be business.
That's fantastic. And maybe they can meet little boss baby, because that was like the highlight of the year for me, that beautiful little baby.
He's not supposed to gargle that mouthwash.
But he did. Like a pro. Yes, like a pro. My husband could not believe it. We can't get our daughters to go to the bathroom by themselves. They're scared that there's something like lurking or hiding in there. So
it's probably good.
Thank you. Thank you for that. So that's it. That wraps us today for this episode of Talk Nerdy to Me. Please subscribe to us on Spotify, and then we're also on YouTube. I think 13 followers and 20 followers. So we're really like breaking the bank with it. And tune in again. We'll have another incredible guest next time. Thanks so much. Bye.